No, I don't know what they mean.
Man.
All the places at Lake Lanier are like it's like a lot of like a lot of burger type places on the lake.
Like a sandwich that's like they're kind of hoagies, but I don't know, it's something specific to any bodies of water. They're like just sandwich shops. You go in there and get like a paper wrapped sandwich and it's got
cheapy,
like
yummy thing.
Mm-hmm. They're like terrible for you. I'm
Soaked in
recording.
pickle juice.
Oh yeah, my God, that sounds so good. I'm recording right now, but we are not live.
Okay. Yay.
We could be. No, we can't be. It's doing that thing again.
Yeah, where it's like, hang on.
No, it's just won't let me go live. Cool. So now I get to type this whole thing again.
I've done that.
Yeah.
Like, thanks a lot.
But it doesn't like sitting there, I think.
It's like it wants you to do it right when you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm. So now we're going to do it right when we're going to do it. So I'm going to do that again.
I feel like that's kind of our style, though.
People tend to show up late anyhow, so
yeah,
that's okay. Well, preparing. I have to fill out the thing again. The thing.
I'm so nervous. I shouldn't have had coffee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. It totally didn't save anything that I copied and pasted. That's super rad. All right. Join us for Hudgens talk with our very Kate Driscoll. What? What's it called?
Public Programs Manager.
I'm so sorry.
The official title. It's okay. The title's been changed I want to say it's been changed 3 times.
Oh, you know who I saw the other day? I saw Randy at Bass Pro Shop yesterday.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he was buying a gun. So
I never buy anything that interesting.
That was pretty interesting. It's like
that's not true. I bought a coffee maker. That's why I'm giving my Keurig to the Hudgens break room. This is my first ever grown-up coffee maker. I've always had Keurigs or the stovetop.
Yeah.
Instant.
All right, dog. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'm preparing.
We are live.
Oh, we are live. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen out there in TV land. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Hudgens Talk. And this week we have our very own Kate Driscoll, the Public Programs Manager at the Hudgens Center. Hello, Kate.
Hello. Hi, guys.
So, Kate, tell us a little bit about who you be, what you do.
I am Kate Driscoll. I've been at the Hudgens Center for going on 3 years. And I've done that before. My phone starts playing. I've been at the Hudgens for going on 3 years. Before that, I was at the Quinlan Center for Visual Arts for about 5 years. And I am also a Georgia State alumnus. Don't know the Latin, but yeah, go Panthers.
Yeah.
So what I do at the Hudgens is my title is Public Programs Manager, which sounds really vague. So I'm in charge of exhibitions, and then I'm also, I coordinate the volunteers, and I'm in charge of public programs like Family Days or Toddler Fridays.
Yeah, so your job is not just exhibitions. You are also in charge of all of the volunteers that we have at the Hudgens, which is a small army.
Yeah. Oh, they're great. We have the best volunteers. And then I do like little things that probably don't sound as interesting. Like I manage the rental schedule for the Hudgens.
Yeah, that's not interesting. Tell me something else.
Yeah, sorry.
So tell me about your background a bit, your education. Where'd you grow up? You grew up here in Georgia, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I grew up in a town called Oakwood, which is in Northeast Georgia off of 985. And then I went to, I did a high school internship at the Quinlan Center. And I would drive over there like every day for about 4 hours and work. And I always knew I wanted to work in museums. Actually, I knew I wanted to when I saw that movie, The Mummy, with Rachel Weisz and Brendan Fraser.
With Brendan Fraser?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and she was a librarian, but she worked at like a library/museum. And I remember not even before they went and, found the mummy and dug up the tomb, I was like, oh, I would love to work somewhere like that. That sounds fun. And then I just got more into it and started doing volunteer stuff, then did an internship. So then I went to school for art history at Georgia State and minored in women and gender studies. And then the Quinlan hired me part-time during college to do stuff like events for them. And then they hired me once I graduated. I worked part-time there, and then I worked a bunch of odd jobs like being a maid, being a nanny. I used to do face painting at festivals. I used to dress up in princess costumes for little kids' birthdays or parades, stuff like that. And then the Hudgens hired me full-time, and I came to the Hudgens.
And how long have you been at the Hudgens now?
In August, it'll be 3 years.
Oh, wow. It's good tenure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I started just managing the gift shop at the Hudgens, and just found new artists to showcase in the gift shop, repainted it, things like that. And then they just kept giving me more and more jobs to do. And then they hired me. I always wanted to get into exhibitions because I love that. And so I finally got it, and I was really excited. And now I've just been having fun ever since.
Yeah, it's great having you in the Hudgens because you have such a such a keen eye to art history and like contemporary art, and you have a lot of exciting things planned for exhibitions. Or are there some things you want to tell our viewers?
Oh man, yes. I'm really, really excited about the exhibitions coming up, and the exhibitions we're going to be having next year too. They're going to be really cool. So the exhibitions we have right now we have the 5th annual Stand in Ansel Adams Footsteps competition and exhibition. So that's members of the GNPA, Georgia Nature Photographers Association. And they're all amateur photographers. And the point of that competition is they all take their photographs in the style of Ansel Adams, trying to emulate his. And it is juried, and they always try to get a juror who had a direct connection with Ansel Adams. And the juror decided his picks based on if he was looking for like a book of Ansel Adams' work, would this picture totally fit in with his work? Was it emulated that well? And that was a really fun thing to put together, because I'm serious. Like, it was about 140 pieces, and every single one was something where I would just go, wow. I never get tired of looking at that show. And then the other exhibition we have going on right now is called Southern Values, and that was curated by Mary Stanley, and it's with 3 women artists, Shaniqua Gay, Joni Mabe, and Amanda Green. And that's a really neat show. So there's Shaniqua Gay painted a huge mural, and she knocked it out in like a matter of days, which was so neat. Joni Mabe does a lot of installation work and multimedia work. And then Amanda Green's a photographer. And Mary Stanley did a really cool job curating that show. She has a really great eye for artists and how they'll be put together. And that show is all about sort of Southern identity, especially Southern women's identities and sort of dualities and the good things about living in the South and maybe the uglier sides. And exploring both of those things, which I'm born and raised in the South, so I really liked that show. And I think even if you just spent any time in the South, then you'll see things and recognize like Southern landmarks. And I think you'll get a lot out of it.
Yeah. So you said that you always wanted to work in a museum thanks to the Mummy.
Yeah.
Do you have a fine arts kind of background, or did you ever do any kind of actual art making?
Yeah.
Or do you?
So yeah, I still do.
Mm-hmm.
So I do a lot of illustration. I've always loved drawing and painting. My mom was a potter, so she always exposed me to a lot of art, and it was always just something part of growing up with her. And like I remember being a kid and going with her to I think Hambridge for like a wood firing a few times when I was a kid, and like she would drag me up there. And you know, when you're a kid, stuff like that, you don't really appreciate it, but you know, so many things my mom, you know, made me do as a kid are now my favorite things, like taking me on hikes, or you know, ceramics, art. And now my favorite thing to do is look and talk about art and go on hikes.
Yeah. So this is something I've been thinking about quite a bit recently over the last, you know, honestly, a few years, but especially the last few months. Like, where do you think art fits in the community now with everything going on, and you know, in particular, like galleries and things like that?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot too, because we've a lot of people who work in art, we've had to really switch gears and unexpectedly and sort of change up what we do and how we execute our mission. So one of the things I like about working with the Hudgens is that I really feel like my, you know, personal values are really aligned with the Hudgens mission. So I think that art is there to serve the community and serve the population that lives there. So, you know, and that's one of the reasons I like working at a nonprofit so much, is the point isn't to turn a profit, it's to provide a public good. And I think you can do that by education and exposure to new types of art, things that maybe you didn't really consider to be art. And then like familiar media like photography or painting, I think a lot of people are really familiar with those as art. So I would say, to go back to your original question, I think the point of art in a community is to serve the community, find ways for people to express themselves. Maybe art is a better language for you to talk about things in your life or things you're noticing in your community and society. Yeah. It can be therapeutic, and yeah, I see it as a public good. Yeah.
One of my favorite like contemporary artists is named Theaster Gates, and he has this talk. So basically the crux of it is art as a catalyst for change. You know, so you know, using a creative space to change the community from within, and having a place for, just like you said, for people to come and experience new things, new ideas, new options. Yeah, I think it's super important too. So since you've been at the Hudgens, you know, I've seen the gift shop kind of flip a few times, like, you know, changing colors in the walls, bringing in new artists. A lot of exciting new things are going on in there. What are some plans, do you think, for the next, you know, year or two that you'd like to see happen at the gift shop? And just in the gift shop, yeah, just where, you know, so a place where we highlight local and regional artists. Yeah.
I would like to include more artists and have more of a variety. So specifically what I think about is we have a lot of ceramics in our gift shop, which is great because that's really in line with our education. Our education program, ceramics is really popular in that.
Ceramics is so overrated.
We have some glass work in there, which is really cool. We've got some photography and some painting of some really cool jewelry. But one thing I think we could get more of is textiles, and you know, whether that's decorative textiles or wearable textiles. That's something I would like to see in there more. And then I would also like to expand sort of our library in the gift shop. So books that we sell. So if you're wanting to if you want to talk about something or learn about something outside of class, we could be selling more things like that and expand I like to expand the art supplies we offer in the gift shop too. So, on my wish list of things, I would make one section of the gift shop a bigger library and one section art supplies. So if you're taking a class at the Hudgens, you could just go over to a corner and buy everything you need for your class. So that's my wish.
That's my one wish.
Yeah.
So like one of the many hats that you wear at the Hudgens is coordinating or helping to coordinate all the Toddler Friday, which is like a kind of an often overlooked gem of the community. Would you like to speak about that program a little bit more?
Yeah. So Toddler Friday, it's a hands-on sort of interactive and educational thing for kids who are about 1 to 5 years old. That's kind of the sweet spot for Toddler Friday. If you have a kid that's slightly older, they may not get as much out of it. If you have a kid that's under 1, I still see like 6-month-old have a great time at Toddler Friday, but again, may not get as much out of it. But for 1 to 5-year-olds, there are 3 stations. They do music, where they sing along and they dance. A lot of times we have little instruments they can get into the music with. Then we have story time, and they're interactive stories. And then we have the art station. And we usually have several different art projects the kids can move around to. And we try and have different art projects that different age kids can like. So a 1-year-old, may like a project where they're finger painting more. Maybe a 4-year-old's a little more advanced and can do things with cutting paper and gluing. And that's led by a retired art teacher, Deanna Dodd. And she does so much for the program. She's great.
Yeah, we are definitely blessed with volunteers at the Hudgens. Because
oh yeah, and but Toddler Friday, I think it's such an important program because it's exposing kids to what art can do for you early, and it's a great way to get people involved in the Hudgens. So a lot of times people, will take their kids to Toddler Fridays for a couple of years, and then their kids go on to take art classes with us. They go on to do summer camp with us. And that the parents often sign up for art classes too, because they have a fun time and want to have something for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, not only is it beneficial for the kids, it's for the parents as well, and exposing them to, a communal art studio and the wonders of making.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
You're never too old to start learning something.
Yeah, there's like a cutoff age. It's like 30, 39, I think.
You're done.
You're done. There's no more learning for you. You've learned enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think learning is one of the things that keeps people young, is keeping your mind open to the fact that you may not know things. There's a skill you want to learn. I think that's so cool.
Yeah. So one of the, really, one of the many wonderful things of the Hudgens, but we have so many, but one of the greatest things I think is the Hudgens Prize. And so that's coming up here, like our exhibition for the prize winner. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes. So the Hudgens Prize is it's a $50,000 prize that goes to an artist that wins the finalist cycle. So we have a competition cycle and then a winner cycle, and they go every other year. So last year we had 4 artists who are competing for the Hudgens Prize, and then we bring in some outside jurors who are professionals in the art world. Maybe the juror is an artist, maybe they're a curator, maybe they're an art critic, an art professor. And they're the ones who decide who gets in the Hudgens Prize and who wins the Hudgens Prize. And the whole point of the Hudgens Prize is to support local Georgian artists. So they're artists who live in Georgia. And it's just a good way to give them, they're through the $50,000, and then the following year they get a solo show. So it's just a good way for them to get a foothold in their career and give them the opportunity to really spend some time just working on their craft. Because that's a luxury that not a lot of artists have. a lot of times you're working another job, whether it's teaching or, you know, working a 9 to 5 or waiting tables, and you're doing your art when you can get the time. So that point of the Hudgens Prize is just to help them out and give them that $50,000, whether they want to use that to live on, they want to use it to make their show, it's for them. So this year's 2019's winner was an artist named Paul Stephen Benjamin. Really fabulous artist. His work will go up in August.
Powerful work.
Yeah. So, and we've already had him come in a little bit and talked a bit about what his show is going to be. And I don't want to give anything away, but it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as far as Atlanta artist goes, he's one of my favorite too. I've always really been kind of moved by his work and found it very engaging. So I'm excited that he was the winner for sure. This is a kind of a hypothetical. If you could invite or curate a show with anybody, living or dead, artist-wise, who would it be at the Hudgens?
Living or dead? You know, one of my favorite projects that I've ever read about was, I think, during like the 70s, and it was called Woman House. Do you know what I'm talking about? You heard of this? It was curated, I want to say the woman who was like the lead on it was named Miriam Shapiro, and it was several female artists, and they took this house and they turned the entire house into an installation about female experience. But I always just thought that was so powerful, and I would love to do something like that. That would be like, you know, my dreams, to make to help curate a humongous installation like that. It's really interactive that way. And then, but a lot of the artists I'm working with right now for shows that are coming up in 2020 and 2021 are artists who, you know, I meet them and I think, oh my gosh, like this is an artist who I'm so excited I get to work with and meet and talk about and help them with their show.
So we have some comments. First off, Mark Knott, who is a local potter and educator, says, "Hola, you two." Ashley Lynch, another longtime watcher.
Hi, Ashley.
Yeah, love the Hudgens Prize. We love that you'll keep coming back and watching our talks. Dale Burns is also another one of our students at the Hudgens Center, says, "You're never too old to throw a pot."
Right.
It's debatable. No. Dale is definitely right. LaDonna says she's looking forward to seeing the Hudgens Prize winner exhibit in August, either virtually or in person. Yeah.
Oh, and for anyone watching, you guys, you can come see the galleries by appointment. So if you email me, you'll just email me and say, hey, when can I come in and see the gallery? And we'll set up a time for you to be able to come in. It's open to the public. You can find my email on the website, but it's K Driscoll, my first initial and my last name, at thehudgens.org. But yeah, just shoot me an email.
Yeah, we're open for appointment only, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it safe.
Yep, we're trying to. We've got a small staff, so we got to make sure we're all healthy. And we want to make sure our visitors are healthy too. So we're trying to, you know, still provide you the art. I always love some dog action in a Zoom.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, you know, for many reasons that the pandemic happened, but definitely because we do have such, you know, great shows up right now. You know, the Southern Value show, and then of course the Ansel Adams show. Hey, Klaus. But people can still now see them because they'll be up longer than they were supposed to originally, correct?
Yeah. Yeah, so they were originally, the current exhibitions were supposed to actually come down at the end of April, but we figured that since we had to close the galleries around mid-March, that would be cutting their shows really short. We didn't know what COVID would hold, so we people who were going to have exhibitions in the summer, we just rescheduled it for either later in 2020 or 2021, just because we didn't want to, you know, cut their show short either. And there are going to be some really cool shows. So the Atlanta Collage Society is going to be with us for the winter shows, and then we'll have a show next spring of 2021, called 3 Billion, and that's curated by Laura Adams, who owns the Brickworks Gallery, and we also had a Hudgens talk with her a few weeks ago. And that show is all artists who their work deals with birds or birds' habitats. They're associated with the Audubon Wildlife Society. And specifically, their work will be talking about how in the past 50 years, North America has lost about a third of its bird population. And the Audubon Society has identified 7 things that people and businesses can do to just do their part to help the bird population out, like putting decals on really big windows, because bird strikes are a big way they just knock themselves out. And we talked about this on Laura Adams' show, keeping your cats inside, which I never knew. I grew up with outdoor cats, but apparently they're a really big predator of.
Yeah, cats are like murder monsters for sure when it comes to birds.
I guess I just never realized, because I did see my cats growing up bring back some trophies, but I guess I just didn't realize like the scale of how much the cats are putting a dent in the bird population.
Those are just the ones they're bringing back,
Yeah. These are just the bodies we found. So that show will be up in spring of 2021. So that's roughly February through the end of April 2021.
Yeah, we have a pretty impressively sized gallery at the Hudgens Center. Like I think about gallery spaces in and around the Atlanta area. There are quite a few nice ones, but like as far as scale goes, we do have a pretty large gallery. So wanting to build some sort of, or curate some sort of immersive art show there in our gallery could be a possibility.
I would love to do that. Well, there are a lot of different types of exhibitions that I really love, and obviously there are different things about exhibitions that touch you, whether it's like subject matter or the style or medium, but immersive installations have always been a real favorite of mine. I remember being a kid and going to Fernbank Museum, and a lot of times they'd have really neat installations like that, and just be like, oh my gosh, this is the best.
Yeah, when I think of immersive installations now, it's hard not to think of Meow Wolf. It is an immersive art experience, but it is a lot of there's a lot of Disneyland aspect to it. It's an incredible space. And if you ever get a chance to go there, if you who have not been, I would definitely pay the money and go. It's
Meow Wolf pop up at the Hudgens. Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be amazing. Hey, Meow Wolf, if you're listening.
Yeah, for all of our Meow Wolf listeners, we know you're watching.
Yeah.
We also, we have really amazing spaces, and we have some really unique spaces too. So we've got the promenade, which is those really tall ceilings and the wall of windows, which is really unique and really just a cool exhibition to be in. And then we have, not this is necessarily a gallery space, but we have the sculpture garden, which, when you come to the Hudgens, you're always welcome to go in the sculpture garden, bring a snack and eat in the tables out there. And
just beware the goose.
Beware the goose. Yeah, in spring. Yeah, once they start, once it's, baby season for geese, they can get a little feisty, and you'll see signs on the windows that we put up, like beware of goose, because our garden is a Audubon Society recognized wildlife habitat. So we're not getting rid of the geese. They're there to stay. We're helping them out. So that's also a really unique thing about the Hudgens, is that we do have a lot of wildlife on our campus. We've got that big pond out front that you'll see all sorts of things, like that huge heron, the Canadian geese. We see sometimes in spring. Connie would know, the hooded mergansers. So yeah, there's some really cool bird watching at the Hudgens too. Hooded
merganser.
Yeah, they've got this little frill on top of their head that can go up. They're a really neat looking bird. But Connie Norman, she's the better person to talk about birds. She's our resident bird lover, bird watcher.
I feel like that's the name that I would give a bird that I was just like trying to pull somebody's leg, and that's it's a Ralph McGillicuddy over there.
That's a Ralph McGillicuddy.
Yeah.
You see their the color of the feathers?
Yeah.
That means they're poisonous.
They have a kilt. Betty Dodd says the galleries are huge and the garden is such a beautiful and serene spot. You forget you're in the middle of the city, which is true. Great spot for lunch. The gift shop has greatly benefited from Kate's touch. I love how many of our very own artists have pieces for sale therein. Thanks, Kate.
Yeah.
Thanks, Betty. That's nice.
Yeah, thank you, Betty.
Yeah.
Betty's always nice.
Yeah, Betty's very nice. Betty is also one of our esteemed studio assistants that helps out the Hudgens very, so much. So what is your favorite medium? And if it's not ceramics, I don't want to know you.
That does sound like pandering, but I do think my favorite medium is probably ceramics, just because growing up with a potter, my mom had a tiny little home studio with a wheel and a little electric kiln, but it was almost inside of my bedroom. So I served so many mornings of her walking through my bedroom, like, just going to throw some pots, and hearing the wheel on and hearing the kiln and like all the little, I would be sleeping and like, how the pots are like little tink, tink, tink when they're cooling down, I'd hear that and it always wake me up, like, oh, it's just pots. So I think just growing up with that gave me such an appreciation. Hearing my mom say a billion times, oh my God, look at this glaze, look at this handle. She's really into functional pottery. That's her jam.
Nice.
I think gave me a real appreciation for it. So now that's the thing I get so excited about. And I do like that you can use it. So
functionality is a big draw for it.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And I think it's a real accessible thing for people. Like my go-to Christmas gift for people is, mugs from different potters that I like. Jeff Pickett, I buy a lot of Jeff Pickett mugs from the gift shop. And when I'm going, I'll go out to Jeff Pickett's studio, which is also his house, and you can go on his website and make an appointment if you want to see it. He's a really cool potter and a really nice person. I'll go out there to restock for the gift shop, and when I do, I'm usually doing some personal shopping for myself too. I'm like, this would be a good Christmas gift. So I do keep that in mind of what, if you say you're not a big art person, what are things that people would like to see in the gift shop or things like that.
Yeah, I really love Jeff's work. Every time I go in there, I think I kind of pick up one of those mugs and like, and I get close to buying it, but then I think, do I need another mug? I mean, I do, but I don't. My cabinet says no. And I think you're right, totally, because, and not to talk about all the great aspects of ceramics, but ceramics is a very good gateway drug, if you will, in terms of coming into the art world. Is sort of for those that have, don't really know what art is or don't really care about it or don't understand the kind of greater scheme of art. It's a nice kind of introduction into like that creative world. And we have a lot of people in our studio that have started with these introductory like pottery courses thinking like, whatever, and then are hooked. And then they kind of spread out and start doing painting and all these other kind of creative mediums.
Yeah, I like that about ceramics too. And there's something so nice about ceramics because for the most part, I think we've talked about this before. We definitely have. I mean, on Hudgens talks about how it is communal because most people don't want to just splurge on a wheel and a kiln and a whole setup. So you usually are going to like a studio when you're around other people who are creating. And I think that's a really good way to get into, if you want to explore your creative side, being around other people who are really encouraging. And it seems like, creative people as a group tend to be really encouraging people. And especially in the studio, because they're all kind of helping each other, looking at glazes, doing stuff. I think it's so fun. Yeah, I miss seeing the students. I miss seeing all the people.
Yes. And just so you students and people out there know, we are actively working on ways to get people back into the studio. But like we said earlier, it's something that we're trying to approach very safely and under the, guidelines from the CDC and state. So, we're taking this seriously because we want to protect you all and us as well. But we also miss you guys and miss having bodies in this studio space and in the galleries.
Yeah. I mean, I wish you guys could see, Ty and Connie and Laura working behind the scenes. Like, I feel like sometimes at the Hudgens, like it reminds me of like what do you say, like the river where it like looks smooth and placid on the top. There's like a strong current underneath that you're not really seeing. Yeah.
Or a big scary log underneath the water.
Yeah, but no, we're really lucky. We have such a great team. Everyone's, there because they really want to be there, which is just so cool because, in a lot of jobs, you don't get that. So it just brings a whole other element of dedication and fun to work. So I always look forward to going into work because I know I'm going to see my coworkers who are really passionate about what they do. And our board is really passionate about it. They take all this time out of their schedule, and our volunteers, they take time out of their lives to do something for free just because they, really believe in it, which is so encouraging.
If you had the chance and the time being the key word.
Yeah, right.
What are some classes you'd like to take at the Hudgens?
Oh man, what class wouldn't I like to take? You know what I really regret not taking is actually your wife Rachel's class. I think it was a sculpture class.
Yeah.
I know. Now she's got a big teaching job, so she doesn't have a lot of time, but I really regret not taking time out to do that class. That is one thing, working at the Hudgens, I'm like, we have these amazing classes. But then you don't always have time to take those classes.
Yeah.
So for anyone else, you guys don't have to miss out. Go take those classes.
Yeah. There's still time. Yeah. I mean, we're offering, a whole new kind of corral of classes, since we're all doing things online. But I think I really wanted to take Mr. Bill's cartooning class. That sounds fun. And then, Mark Knott, who was an instructor with us, I would have loved to take a class with Mark.
Oh, I would like to take a class with him too. I would also like to take Elizabeth Stallings' painting class because she has watercolor and acrylic. And I've played with acrylics, but never watercolor. It's so intimidating to me. So I would like to learn more about that.
Yeah, I'm a admittedly terrible painter. So I can't mix colors or anything like that. It's kind of embarrassing how little I know about it. So I would like to learn more about that as well. So maybe someday when they invent a few more hours in the day,
I know,
we can do that. Oh, we have
squeeze like 2 more hours into the day.
Isn't that Men in Black where they all work on some weird alien schedule? It's like 31 hours in the day.
Oh, wouldn't that be great? But it
sounds fun.
It only works if like no one else in the universe does it. If only you are getting that. Because if we all have 31 hours, then we'll find a way as humans to fill it up with stuff.
So LaDonna says, we miss you too, Kate. Oh, we miss you too. Kate's enthusiasm is contagious, which is true. The Women's House exhibit you mentioned earlier sounds so intriguing. I think it does as well. That would be really cool.
Oh, it was really cool. I mean, obviously this happened like before I was born, but if you have a time for a quick Google search, you'll end up going down a rabbit hole because it's really neat.
And Betty says, wait until y'all see what, I can't read anymore. We all see what Ty did with the glaze room. It's really fantastic. So much space to work and so clean. It is so clean. This is very important right now.
No, you did a good job.
Thanks, Betty. And thanks, Kate. LaDonna also says we are lucky to have the staff we do. We are lucky to have the students that we do.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yes. And then Mark Knott says, so nice of you, but so busy. He's a very busy man.
Mark Knott.
Come on, man.
If we can get that 31 hours into the day, then maybe Mr. Knott will reconsider.
Yeah, it's really, it's a special thing that we kind of touched on this last week. It is a special thing that we have there in the Gwinnett County area in Duluth, having such an art center. And what's nice about art centers in general is that we have a relationship with all the other art centers. So it's not a competition about who's best. It's like, how can we help each other out,
Oh,
especially through this pandemic is something I've noticed
mhm.
where, we're all talking to each other and trying to figure out new ideas together, not just, oh, it's us versus Johns Creek and we hope you sink, like, no, it's like, hey, do you need
If you
help? Hey, we need
succeed, we
help,
succeed.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. We're all in
I
this
feel that way
together.
too,
Yeah.
which is so nice not to feel like you're in this like cutthroat sort of industry or something. It's really, I mean, I think art is really communal and it does foster that sort of, like that sort of sensibility in people. That your success will help my success, my momentum can help your momentum, sort of thing. I
Mhm.
think the art centers, or at least in our area, maybe it's different places, but
Yeah.
in our area, that is a really nice thing. I don't ever, whenever I hear something great happening at a gallery or a museum, I always think, ooh, that's so cool, good for them, which is
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I'd like to believe, and I'm sure it's the case that most art centers operate under that kind of ethos,
Hmm.
as far as like, no, we're here
Yeah.
for everyone. There's probably that
Yeah.
one evil art center on the hill with like super tall towers and lightning striking
Lightning
all
is
over.
always
Yeah,
striking.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to go there, but they probably have really great like
They
macrame
probably have
classes or
they
something.
probably have really cool classes,
Yeah,
how to paint in blood.
yeah, yeah. Ancient symbols. Oh, that sounds good.
Oh, that sounds like a whole class I would have like loved to take in college.
I feel like most of my Egyptian art history class was all about ancient symbols and things I still
Yeah,
didn't understand.
yeah, I feel like yeah, I took a few ancient Egypt classes because I think I want to say you could take 3 at
Mm-hmm.
Georgia State. And I had such great professors too. But there was this one palette, the Narmer palette, that brought up like every class. And I was always just like, I remember this. I remember these symbols. That's his name. That means Nar. That means Myrrh.
Do you remember I think it's called the Hebsed Festival, and I could be saying this wrong. It's where the king renews his kingship by running between 2 posts. And it's like, okay, you get to be king again because you ran between that rock and that rock, and everybody was so amazed by how great
What
of a
a good
runner you are.
runner. Hey, good run, buddy.
But I feel like the pharaohs and stuff are probably all like rickety, you know, unhardened people.
I went to this talk at Emory University, and it was about King Ramses II. And he lived to be 90, which at the time,
Might as well be a million.
I can't remember. Yeah, it was like people really did. I mean, there's the whole thing about like, thinking of like pharaohs as like a god status. But, like thinking of being alive at the time, if someone is living like twice as long as everybody else, like that would really help your clout.
That helps your street cred. I mean,
Yeah.
people will be like, I think that guy is an actual god. Like,
But I would. Yeah, I get it.
so we have a few more minutes, guys. If you have any questions you'd like to ask Kate, go ahead and jot them down. Otherwise, I'm going to continue asking ridiculous questions, and you all can listen to it. And Kate will be so gracious to answer them.
I love ridiculous questions. Are my favorite.
We have a lot of those.
Did you have one?
No, I did, and then I lost it. It was a mostly serious question. No, just thinking about the gift shop again, and Betty had mentioned earlier, we do have, such a great showing of local artists and things from past shows too, like in particular, like our past cup shows. We have Mark Errol, who is one of our visiting art Hudgens participants early on. He's got a few cups in there. We've got student work there from Noel Benedict and Ling and Yeship and Shaw.
A bunch of wood turned pieces from Wes Jones. He had a show with us a couple of years ago that was just so fantastic and put together really well too by Angela Nichols. She did a great job putting that together. But yeah, we have some of his work, which is just gorgeous. If you're not into woodworking, I feel like he'll get you into it. His stuff it's beautiful.
We also have some really nice glass work too, and I always marvel at that when we go, who's that artist?
We have 2. We have John Shoemaker, and then You know, I always mess up Devin's last name. Devin, I think Devin Cole, but yeah, but they're actually friends, and they've used the same gear to make their glass work, because it's sort of like pottery in that you need certain expensive things to make it.
Absolutely.
But so that's also sort of like a cool communal sort of thing. And Devin has a traveling studio that he goes around to different places, and we'll bring it there and do little weekend workshops. So that'd be super cool if you would pop our way.
Yeah, he was supposed to do that last year, correct? Or we had talked to.
I think we had talked about doing it this year, and then everything went haywire. But yeah, they're both amazing, and their work is really beautiful, but it's really distinctive from each other. Devin's work is a bit more like organic, the shapes, and then John Shoemaker's work is almost like has like an architectural quality to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really beautiful stuff.
Never understood glassmakers. It seems like just at any time you can just ruin everything. But as
Is
we
that
talked
what
to
they
Mike,
probably think about ceramics?
probably, but I was just like, there's just so much waiting, and there's too much involvement with other people for me to be comfortable. I think
That is so funny, because you're a ceramic artist, like all.
But I can work by myself. That's the thing. I can throw by myself, and I can make little sculptures by myself. Now, not to say it's not nice to work with people, but there is like a lot of team effort, for sure. But I think we'll wrap it up here. Kate, thank you so much for all you do for the Hudgens.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in once again, and come back and see us soon. We have a lot of great things on the horizon.
Yep.
And
next week we have Amanda Shellnut on Hudgens Talks. And if you missed it, don't worry, we post them to YouTube later. So you can always check out the YouTube channel.
Well, until next time, bye y'all.